And our exclusive NewsNation Decision Desk HQ poll finds a majority of Americans do in fact believe abortion should be legal in most cases. Just about 2/3 of those polled, 66%, believe abortion should be legal in all or most cases, with 34% believing it should be illegal. Joining us now to talk about the legal ramifications of this week's ruling is Dr. Laura McNeil. She's a legal analyst from Columbia University. Thanks so much for being here and helping us break this down. So now states have the power to determine how abortions should be handled. 13 states have now effectively made abortion a criminal act. What does that mean for those performing them?
Yes, it means a lot. It means that if they move forward and perform an abortion in those states that have strictly prohibited them by law, that they will be prosecuted just like anyone else who commits a crime. And so I know this is kind of shocking to a lot of people because this is essentially a medical condition that they are, or a medical procedure that's being done, but it's not about the type of procedure. It's the fact that there's a law in place in those states that says it's illegal. If you break that law, there will be consequences.
What legal recourse, if any, do the providers have if they are charged with a felony?
You know, the truth is they don't have a lot of options. For instance, today, the Louisiana governor for the state actually signed a bill into law specifically saying that if you are an abortion provider in our state and you perform an abortion, you're going to be held criminally liable. So they, like any person charged with a crime, will simply have to get an attorney to represent them and hope that the prosecutor does not have enough evidence to convict them. If they committed the crime, though, you know, there's nothing different than any other crime. So they really don't have a lot of legal recourse except to defend themselves like anyone else would.
Well, when you talk about evidence, aren't there privacy HIPAA laws in place? I mean, how do authorities get evidence in a case like this?
I'm really glad you asked that question because this is what we call in law a case of first impression. And so, yes, there are HIPAA laws, but there are exceptions when you're trying to do a criminal prosecution. Think about medical malpractice claims. And so those exceptions will allow a local prosecutor to get access to the patient's medical records potentially. And you got to keep in mind, prosecutors are very creative. They're going to look at text messages. They're going to look at travel history. So there are other ways they can build evidence or gather evidence to build their case against someone that they think has done an illegal abortion in their state.
But in medical malpractice cases, isn't it the patient themselves who's bringing the case? I mean, in the case of prosecuting an abortion provider, who is actually digging into those records and bringing them the initial information?
It would be the prosecutors. They would have to get a warrant from a local judge giving them access to those medical records.
What about the women who are actually getting the abortions? Are they going to face any legal consequences?
Yes, again, they are no different, but it's going to depend on that state's specific statute. Some states, as we're seeing these statutes start to roll out, are specifically targeting abortion providers. Others, like the state of Texas, are targeting women and abortion providers. So if you are a woman in the state of Texas and you have an abortion, because it's now illegal in that state, she too can face criminal prosecution, jail time, fines. It depends on that state.
What does this mean for the pills, the so-called abortion pills that are approved by the FDA? Is that any different?
Well, that, again, is another case of first impression. So as of now, we've heard the Biden administration come out and say that their argument is it shouldn't apply to the abortion pill. They're saying that any drug that is approved by the FDA, which is typically true legally, is permissible. But again, if these statutes that are currently being written up as we're having this interview specifically say the abortion pill, the use thereof or distribution thereof is prohibited in our state, that's going to be something the courts will have to decide whether or not, in that case, the state trumps the FDA's decision on saying it's permissible or if the federal government. So typically in law, though, the federal trumps state, meaning that FDA pre-approval of the abortion pill should still allow it to be used.
All right, Dr. Laura McNeil, a lot of questions around this topic. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.